Good afternoon, everybody. How is everyone doing? I apologize for coming in at, 1 in the afternoon. As you know, we always do a morning show, but I had to take care of some stuff. I had to go to the dentist this morning and finally getting that taken care of and finally getting back into my normal routine. So let's see who's here to hang with us today. Gaelic Girl, first one in at 7:30 this morning. East Coast Mama, thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. Uli Girl, good morning. I said good morning. See, I am not in my normal routine. Well, maybe I am because I said good morning. Either way, I'm still not 100% with it. That's all right. Katie Bird, good morning. Afternoon. Just shut up, Brooks. Nisa, hello. Christy C, hello. Just me, hello. Angie Gibson, hello. Hope everyone is having a good day. What is your temperature? Because it's 102 here right now. There's Lisa. There's my friend Aggie, Katrina. Big T, hello. She said good afternoon / evening. Who's messing with my mind? Now I'm going to start saying good evening, and it's not evening. Hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm kind of scrolling too fast. If I did, I will catch you in the comments because you guys always leave the best comments. There's our friend November Day, Roxanne, Maureen, Anna. So anyway, tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary since Michael Vaughan was abducted in Fruitland, Idaho. I am hoping something happens between now and then, which is another reason I didn't wait until tomorrow to do the show. I don't want to do any anniversary of Michael missing. Never want to talk about a child being missing for a week, or it's been a month, or it's been a year. So we're going to do this today. We're going to go through the news conference that they held a few days ago in Idaho, which, by the way, was full of information. I was blown away. I've listened to it several times. I hope he is returned today. Returned today. How many of you guys have listened to the press conference, whether it's just a couple of sound bites of it or the whole thing? You know us, we're going to go through the whole thing. What I gathered from this, besides he's been abducted, that's where they've been focused. The way I take it, especially since they are going to start working with Homeward Bound, is they believe he's alive, which I've said on this show several times, this case reminds me a lot of the disappearance of Sean Hornbeck in a lot of ways. That could be Nick being hopeful, grasping at straws, but I believe he's alive. I believe he'll come home. I really do. Hello, Connie. Where you been, my friend? Misty, hello. She said, I heard it once. Well, we're going to go through it again today. I want to get all of your thoughts on it. A picture was released of someone that they want to talk to. The internet went on fire with that of who they think this person could be. We're going to address that. No, it is not Brian Laundrie. I had a lot of people going, it looks like Brian Laundrie. That case is solved, everybody. Brian Laundrie is not here. He is not here any longer. Yes, I think, I don't know why. I think he is. I do. Let's see what our friend Kat is doing. She will definitely know what time of day it is, guys. You're in good hands with Kat. Good afternoon, Kat.
Good evening, because it's actually 7 o'clock in the evening here. Don't mean to confuse you. It's 67 degrees.
Nice I am not mentioning a time of day. How many people did I tell good morning to after I just apologized for not going live in the morning?
It's easily done. I was going to say good morning to you then, and then I just looked at the time and realized it's actually evening or afternoon in your time.
So what have you had going on all day? I'm not going to give a time of day.
Working. I was at work earlier. I finished work and then went grocery shopping, came back and got ready for being on panel with you. Talk about monkey.
Talk about monkey. It is time to talk about monkey. So I'm going to go through some comments from the last show we did about monkey. It was a big treat. You were here. Navlis came on panel. Brandy came on panel. Now, I did not message Brandy or anything like that. I don't, unless she happened to get the notification. I don't know if Brandy's going to be here. She is welcome to come on panel anytime. That's actually my bad planning for not telling her. So if anybody comes back, it's like, well, how come Brandy wasn't there? I didn't tell her. This would be my fault.
Okay. She might pop in.
Yeah, here in a second, I will message her. I just don't want to, like, at the last minute, hey, Brandy, we're live, talk about Monkey, and her, thinking she's expected. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
I promise I will get back in the swing of things. I promise I will.
She'll watch later anyway. She always does.
Absolutely. So here we go. All right. So the last show we did about Monkey was for his birthday, which was almost a month ago.
Yeah.
Should do a lot more shows about Monkey. We don't have a lot of updates, but I think that's going to have to change pretty soon, especially with everything that came out with the news conference.
Yeah.
To me, there's a lot more to look into, and I'm not trying to be gruesome or grim here, but the way that they're bringing in Homeward Bound and they're going to have his picture on the side of tractor trailers, we're going to talk about that. I have a clip about it. Tells me they believe there could be some trafficking going on. Am I reaching too far, Kat?
I may have figured the same kind of thing. Yeah, my mind started to go along that route too. Seems likely, or, increasingly likely, I guess.
And they have been focused on abduction. They've been talking about abduction. I think the first article I saw about abduction was in October, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
October, November. So that would go hand in hand. It's a great program.
Mm-hmm.
And it really gave me a lot of hope for Monkey coming home. Not that any of this is good, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look for the silver lining. So the first comment, 5 days ago, Andy said, why can't you look at both sides of the coin, so to speak? Brandy has changed her story multiple times. Brandy going on YouTube creators' channels and speaking about Michael in past tense. I have never heard Brandy speak in past tense. Brandy will correct you and stop you in your tracks if you use Michael's name in past tense. She said something to Chris McDonough one time. She said, when he comes home. She stopped him dead in his tracks and she corrected him. As far as both sides of the coin, I can't until law enforcement tells me I need to be looking at them. Right. I believe it does a misservice to Michael Vaughan, to Monkey, if I'm picking apart his parents. And don't you throw that Summer Wells shit at me and say, but you've been looking at Dawn and Candace, because they're goddamn suspects.
Yeah, exactly. Because they haven't been cleared after 13 months of their child disappearance. They haven't managed to come out and say they believe that it was a random abduction and that Dawn and Candace weren't involved, have they?
They have never, ever given us a reason. Exactly. I'm talking about in the Wells case, and I'm sorry that I have to bring it up. It just has to be. Not to look at them. They've said everyone's a suspect. They didn't say everyone except those three.
Exactly. I just think with the Monkey case, it's like a case of navel gazing in some respects. You're looking inwards instead of looking for Monkey. All the time you're looking at the issues or non-issues with his parents. You're not looking for Monkey. Takes the focus off of looking for Monkey.
And I have a lot of questions too about the day. Brandy's at work. Tyler's at home. I have a lot of questions too. I mean, one question is, how can Brandy be in two places at once? How can she be at work yet involved in her child's disappearance? That makes no sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense.
I want to know how, I mean, it wasn't just Tyler home alone with Monkey. If it was just Tyler and Monkey, I'd have a lot of questions, especially if he had no answers.
Yeah, it's not the same situation. You don't see, the police haven't never ever in Monkey's case come out and said that Tyler and Brandy are not cooperating like they have in the Summer Wells case, right?
No, never.
Never said that about Brandy and Tyler. All they've ever said is that they work closely and provide them with all the information that they require and they're investigating. Whereas Don and Candace, the sheriff, come out and said, no, they're not cooperating.
He said they're not cooperating,
Exactly.
and everyone's a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to give us the name.
Mm-hmm. I think it can be inferred in the Summer Wells case quite easily, whereas in Monkey's case, they've never said the parents are not cooperating. In fact, they always make a point to say how much the parents are cooperating and how closely they are working together.
And that is definitely the difference for me.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to these cases, I have been accused of being biased many times with this case in particular. I'm not close with anyone in this case at all. I'm talking about the abduction, the disappearance of Michael Vaughan.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something that you guys have, an article, a presser by law enforcement or something like that, I definitely want to see it. I definitely want to see it.
We're going to watch the press conference, the recent one, in a bit, aren't we?
Yep. And people are like, well, they're friends with people at the police department. I don't think they were friendly with anybody at the police department until Monkey went missing.
Right.
And I don't think they're playing cards with him on Friday night. Exactly. And there is an FBI agent that has been assigned to Monkey's case.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I do look at both sides of the coin in every case. And if you go back to when I first started talking about Summer Wells, I wasn't immediately after Dawn and Candace.
No.
I said there were some weird things with the mom. Mm-hmm. There were some things I didn't understand. And then as things started coming out, then I started talking about the parents. Yeah. All right. Sly Fox said, I feel strongly Michael is still around the neighborhood. I have had a lot of comments like this, that people believe that somebody close by in that neighborhood, we can't ignore the fact that there are several registered sex offenders within, I think, 6 miles of their home.
Yeah, there are.
Now, if I realize it, law enforcement definitely does. And I have a feeling they've probably shaken those people up one side and down the other. Yeah. That doesn't mean, see, birds of a feather fly together. Just because they have talked to one doesn't mean there's not a circle of people like them that couldn't be involved somehow.
Right. Right. But I mean, in terms of Monkey actually being locally held, every single house on that neighborhood has been turned over more than once. Most of the people have offered unfettered access to the law enforcement when they've wanted to search, but they've had to execute some warrants in that regard. But every single house has been searched, every single garden, every stone's been lifted, every rock's been turned, and they certainly don't think that he is anywhere local.
Oh, no, I don't either. I'm not agreeing with that part of the comment. Just that it could honestly be someone that's connected somewhere.
Absolutely.
Which they said in the press conference, in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it could be someone connected to the local neighborhood. I just don't think that Monkey is still within that neighborhood, personally.
No, sorry. I'm glad that you reeled me back in. That would have been a huge mistake.
That's fine.
Eve said, Brooks, I just watched your replay, Monkey's mom. I cried with her when she's talking about her little boy. I'm still crying now. I asked God, please, where is that little boy? Bring him to his mom and dad and his family. Then she says, happy birthday, Monkey. It's impossible to talk to Brandy, see Brandy, watch any of these press conferences without just crumbling yourself. There wasn't a dry eye in the chat.
Yeah, you're right. I think that, that's one of the things about being empathic people is that I honestly can't speak to Brandy or watch Brandy without breaking down with her when she does, because it's just palpable, it's tangible, you know what I mean? It's a visceral thing.
It's impossible. Whether you're a parent or not. I mean, to watch this woman grieve the way she is, It's too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, the first comment, I mean, I really wanted to address that because I never knew Brandy. I've never talked to Tyler. I've never asked to talk to Tyler. So we don't even need to twist that. I'm not saying any of you guys in here. I'm saying people that are listening and not commenting and people that will comment later.
Mm-hmm.
I've never asked to talk to Tyler.
No.
So we're not going to twist that. So there's no, I mean, I certainly can't cover for anybody. I didn't know them last July.
No.
And I am looking at both sides of the coin. I've had my own questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to put them on here.
Yeah.
And they've been answered
without
hesitation. And you have too. I know you have, because we've been on phone calls together.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing I say. I've never had any kind of feeling that anything was being held back or hidden or reserved when it comes to asking information. But I'm not going to blast it all out there, because ultimately that's not helpful. It's just questions that I wanted answered that were answered.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I mainly wanted to, I don't like to give attention to people that are trolling me, but it's already out there. It's in writing. So I'm going to address it. Okay. Sometimes I wonder if some people, not anybody in here, if they have a real life, you know, a real job, or if they have neither, and that's the reason they have time to not even listen to a show, to come in later and try to cause disruption. It's like you couldn't have possibly have heard that show to leave something like that.
Oh yeah, I get comments like that too, where you just think, hang on a minute, where did you hear me say that? Because I didn't even say that. Are you hearing things that are not being said, or are you just not listening to the show and then jumping to conclusions about what I was talking about based on something else?
Well, what I really wanted to address in that comment, and I'm talking in circles, is, you know, her jumping on panels. Now, if you guys remember, she was screaming for help for a long time. She couldn't get anybody to even cover Michael's case.
Yeah.
And she has gotten people to talk about Michael Vaughan's case, as they should. They're going, her and Tyler are going to be on News Nation tomorrow night. Actually, I'm going to put that up right now before I forget. But she's never talked about Michael in past tense. Ever.
Not that I've ever heard, never ever heard. And I've listened to every single one of the news reports and everything that she's ever spoken on. And I've never once heard her speak in past tense. In fact, she's more often speaks in future tense, because she says monkey's coming home every single time she speaks. She says that it's a hashtag. It's, you know, that's not past tense, is it?
No, we spoke about his Christmas presents that they still have wrapped up for him. The birthday presents that she still has, you know, waiting for him. That is not past tense, Andy. That is not past tense. It's really not. And we can all on this show, which is why I love this community, there's a lot of things in here that we don't agree on. I think we all know that, but we listen to each other. We agree to disagree. And like I said, at the end of the show, we're all still friends.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this community.
Yeah, me too.
So this is Marky Martin. So this is not going to be tonight. It's tomorrow. So Wednesday on News Nation, we're going to discuss it on Thursday. She's going to be interviewing Michael Vaughan's parents. So before they do their special tomorrow night, which tomorrow is 1 year since Monkey has disappeared, we do not want this show to go down. Not because we have anything against covering Michael's case or Tyler and Brandy being on the show, because we want him found between now and then.
Yeah.
I would love to hear an abrupt cancellation saying, we don't need to do this show now.
Oh, yeah, that would be amazing.
I think so, too. I think so, too. Oh, hang on. What did I miss? Beverly said, my thoughts right away was he was abducted. S said, I only trust the mom in this case. Sorry. That's okay. Like I said on here, we agree to disagree.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see it, because I don't see it doesn't mean anything. What I think does not sway this case.
No.
What the FBI agent in charge, what he thinks, that holds a huge bucket of water.
Yeah.
What the Fruitland police, what they've been investigating, and they know that they're not going to tell us, that holds a big bucket of water. What I think, don't take that to the horse track.
Yeah, same.
All right, so I'm going to put this up anywhere, guys. I'm going to be watching chat too. Anything that sticks out to you, tell me. I'll pause it. We'll discuss it.
Okay.
You know how we do. If there's an echo, let me know, because I have a separate mic hooked up now.
Okay.
I had my closed captioning turned off because I was going through Dawn Wells' letter and I just couldn't see it on the screen anymore. I couldn't do it.
I just wanted to start out by thanking you guys for showing up. I apologize for the short notice on this and moving this up in our schedule, but we identified some travel conflicts and some other commitments that weren't going to allow some of our partners to be here today. So they wanted to be here today. It was important for everybody to make it on this anniversary of Michael's disappearance. And so I appreciate you for indulging us and moving this up in your schedules as well. So I quickly want to recognize the Fruitland Police Department, the men and women of our department, as our staff continues to work tirelessly to keep this department moving forward as we continue to investigate Michael's case. So their loyalty, courage, and tenacity is clearly unmatched. And it's a privilege to lead and work with these people every day. I just wanted to introduce some of my partners, as I've done in the past.
You might be asking yourself, can you actually create high quality live streams?
Our partnerships haven't changed. I'd like to introduce Supervisory Agent in Charge, Doug Hart with the FBI, Captain Matt.
Okay, so he's pointing at Doug Hart.
Yeah.
I did read another article. He also was involved with the Elizabeth Smart case. I know in one of the shows, there was a lady and she was kind of trying to argue with Brandy a little bit. She was saying that basically he was already there. He's a member of their staff anyway. No, he's not. He has been assigned by the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Okay, so when it's federal, for people that are going to listen later and argue with me and jump into comments, you guys already know. It seems to me they believe he is not in the state of Idaho.
Right.
They need someone, obviously, with immense intelligence and great detective skills, like an FBI agent, also that can investigate every state, not just Idaho.
Yeah, right. Which makes sense.
You're going to hear them bring up the Summer Wells case. There we have a big difference. There is not an FBI agent assigned to Summer's case. No. I'm only saying that now because I know it's going to come up.
Sly with the Idaho State Police, Chief Gary Marshall with the Payette City Police Department, Sheriff Andy Creech with the Payette County Sheriff's Office, and Mark Sullivan with the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue. We also have with us today the family of Michael Vaughan. We've got Brandy Neal, Tyler Vaughan, and Bob Vaughan, and
Buggy.
So it's nice to have them here with us today. So since the evening of July 27th, 2021, the Fruitland Police Department, the Idaho State Police, the FBI, law enforcement agencies, and law enforcement agencies across the country have investigated the disappearance of 5-year-old Michael Vaughan. We haven't stopped. Every day we have unfinished business, and I'll tell you that every day is an anniversary of the disappearance from Michael Vaughan for us. Law enforcement, the families of law enforcement, and our community. Our investigation remains intense and strong. So I want to take a moment to just kind of cover some significant aspects of the case to provide some context for those who aren't completely familiar with our case, or those might be jumping in a little bit later. A lot of it I've covered in prior press conferences, but I wanted to cover it again today. So Michael Joseph Vaughan was last seen at his residence on Southwest 9th Street at approximately 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, July 27, 21. Law enforcement received the first call by 911 at 7:21 p.m. and we began an immediate search of the area. And I should note that.
Okay, so let's talk about that timeline really quick.
Yeah.
You go first, Kat.
No, go on.
That's a very small timeline.
Really small.
Extremely small. From this press conference and everything else we've read, obviously they're narrowing it down for us. That's a very small timeline.
And it's very like it's such a difference to the other case, Summer Wells case, because there's no holes in it really. There's no massive gaps where there's, you know, oh well, I don't know what time it was, and I don't know what time this was and that was. This is 20 minutes. It's not 3 hours. It's 20 minutes. It's a big difference in terms of what can happen in 20 minutes regarding a missing child.
And also remember, in that time, Tyler called Brandy at work.
Yeah.
Brandy told him, you know, basically, you know, he could be hiding here, he could be hiding here.
Yeah.
I mean, your first thought isn't going to be to think that your child was abducted.
Right.
My kids used to have different places that they would hide, not because they were hiding from me, but they like to jump out at each other and stuff like that, or, you know, come find me, or, you know, it was, you know.
Yeah, it happens. That's what kids do. But yeah, like you say, your first instinct wouldn't necessarily be that they've been abducted. But in 20 minutes, there's very little room for maneuver in terms of what else could have been happening during those 20 minutes, especially in terms of what people are saying about Tyler, you know, in my opinion.
Right. And about Brandy and I mean, and the grandfather, and her son, their son, you know, Michael's older brother. And in these cases, I'll never get over it. We had a long discussion about it in the Lily Peters case. In these cases, which thank goodness don't happen every day.
Yeah.
Parents are never allowed to be parents, and children are never allowed to be children.
Yeah.
So when kids do what kids do, all kinds of mud is slung at the parents.
Right.
How could you? How could you allow him to? I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, as well, it just kind of makes you think that the people that are throwing that mud must be completely perfect if they're without any kind of error ever in the whole of their entire child's upbringing. It's just ridiculous. No parent is perfect when it comes to, you know, no parent watches their child 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Nope, it's impossible. I mean, I had one lady, she kept arguing with me. That was during the Lily Peters show. And she just kept on and kept on. And I said, bitch, you're in chat right now. What do you mean you're watching your child?
Exactly.
You're focused on this. You can't be watching your child. Calm down.
Yeah. People are very quick to judge in this situation, I think.
And nobody wants anyone else's problems.
No.
Especially something like this. I couldn't imagine.
Right, exactly.
Not knowing where my child is and having to stand behind the chief of police as he's talking about the tireless efforts the department and the FBI are going through to find your child.
Yeah.
You know?
But look at it. Both the parents are there. Both the parents are at the press conference. That says something to me. At least they're there. You know, there's other cases where the parents aren't at these press conferences. So, you know, even that to me is a sign that, you know, they're on it. They're willing and wanting and, you know, helping to find their boy and bring him home. They want him home. They're at the press conference. That was just the first thing that sprung to my mind was they're there, you know.
They were there the very first press conference the day after.
Yep, exactly. And they're still there today. I didn't see certain other parents at a year anniversary press conference.
Oh, God, no. You're not going to see that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's the timeline again. His residence on Southwest 9th Street at approximately 6:30 p.m. Okay, so in this time, the adult in the home realizes, can't find Monkey. Yelling for Monkey. Just try to put yourself in this situation.
Yeah.
Then Brandy gets a call at work. Brandy is at work. She has to go and tell them after she talks to Tyler and realizes something's wrong, because it would take you a while to process it in your brain, at least least for me. So then she, you know, then there, of course, I guess there's another phone call. Then they have to call the police.
Yeah.
So this is 6:30 p.m.
Tuesday, July 27, 21. Law enforcement received the first call by 911 at 7:21 p.m., and we began an immediate search of the area. And I should note that law enforcement across the country receives these type of calls every year. Numerous calls like this, we call them wander-offs, and they conclude, but after finding the child safely with friends or family, and clearly it's typically a breakdown in communication. So you need to know the first missing and endangered alert went out at 8:20, with different alerts to email, phone calls, text messages being issued to area residents until 11:20 that night. Michael's image and information went out to law enforcement nationwide on a database called the National Crime Information Center, or NCIC. And Michael's also been entered into the State of Idaho Missing Person Clearinghouse and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The Fruitland Police, Payette Police, and Payette County deputies and citizens searched through the night until support arrived the following morning. The ensuing response was immense. We had over 100 law enforcement officers from federal, state, and local agencies, including the FBI Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team, along with trained search teams, converge on our small city of Fruitland.
Networking and sponsorships are a huge part of any event, but how do you create a space for meaningful connection?
Our physical search efforts were conducted by experts from the Idaho Fish and Game, the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, both Fruitland and Sand Hollow fire departments, multiple law enforcement agencies, and coordinated citizen searchers. The search included over 200 residential homes, properties including outbuildings, a septic tank, garbage cans, vehicles, irrigation ditches, and drain canals.
Okay, he's going through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That was covered in a short amount of time.
Right.
Everything that's been brought up. I mean, everything that I've heard in this chat and in Navalis as well, and in yours.
Yeah.
And in Kat's. Drainage ditches, irrigation, they're searching homes everywhere. So how in less than an hour could someone inside that residence commit a heinous crime? Because don't forget, he has an older brother that was there too.
Yeah. And
dispose of him without anyone seeing even as much as a mark on the wall.
Right. And he would have had to have got further than they got within an hour to get rid of Monkey's body further away than they were going to search within the next hour. It just doesn't make sense. There's no way that can happen.
Well, in less than an hour, because he had to have time to call, if we're talking about Tyler, or if we're talking about anybody in the house, frankly.
Right.
If we're talking about Tyler, then he would have to have time in less than an hour to do the heinous of the heinous.
Yeah, exactly.
Contact his wife.
Right.
And then contact the police.
Right, exactly.
And also in that time, he has to realize he can't find him. You don't always have eyes on your children. If you think they're downstairs playing, they're downstairs playing.
Yeah.
It's when you don't hear them or you call for them, then, you go look for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Trained search teams and law enforcement, along with specialized canine teams from across the country, searched over 3,000 acres of farm ground, along with areas surrounding the city and out into the county. Sophisticated drones, boats with sonar, boats with canines, kayaks, paragliders. I would say that if we could have dammed the Snake River, we would have. With the help of residences and businesses, we were able to retrieve hours and hours of security camera video, and we continue to reference that video while working on our leads. So let's talk about since the disappearance of Michael. When I tell you our investigation has been intense and daily, I can assure you that it has been. Since the disappearance, detectives and investigators across the country have logged tens of thousands of man-hours to bring this case to conclusion. We've gathered an immense amount of data and continue to work through it with experts from several agencies. We've applied for and served over 27 search warrants, but that may seem low, but I'm telling you that we've also performed probably triple that in mutual consent type searches. So the search warrant and consent searches we've performed have yielded high volumes of data, and search warrants are still being written today. The data requires expertise from law enforcement partners, and this takes a lot of time to decipher. We continue to use all of our investigative resources, to include that of the Idaho State Police and our friends at the FBI. Further, the Idaho State Police and the FBI have assigned investigators to work specifically with the City of Fruitland Police Department on this case, and our partnership is healthy and strong. We continue to call upon the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue teams with their specialized canine units, and we've received some recent leads that have put us out in the area again, searching more acreage. And I can't thank them enough for what they've done for us. On a moment's notice, they're jumping and running for us.
I am really surprised that they put that information out there, that they have another place that they're looking at. I don't think that they will specifically find Michael, but, you know, something.
Yeah, they mentioned it was out of the area and it was a different acreage, right?
A different
So
angle. Yeah.
somewhere they haven't searched before, like, or hasn't been previously searched.
Yeah, I was very surprised they put that out. And I know a lot of people ask, well, why don't they tell us this? Why don't they tell us this? Okay, so for example, like in the Summer Wells case, everyone's a suspect. So they want us to know.
Right.
I mean, it's common knowledge that that's the focus of their investigation.
Yeah.
There would be no suspect if it was basically she wandered off or whatever.
Exactly.
So people say, why don't they clear the parents? I was actually reading another article the other day, and it was about a girl that was recovered. She was actually an adult when she went back to her parents. Her parents were never cleared as suspects.
Wow.
The FBI explained to them, if we come out and publicly say you are 100% in the clear, that gives the abductor that much more confidence.
Wow.
To keep the child they've kidnapped. Now that's a different case. That's a different case altogether.
Did they ever say that there was evidence of abduction in that case, or that they had a high probability of abduction in that case? They just didn't clear the parents?
Yes, they did.
Right,
yes,
okay.
they did. Yes, they did. They never spoke about the parents, but they never came out and had a press conference.
Right.
Leave mom, and it was mom and stepdad, because the stepdad was under suspicion forever and a day.
Okay.
And so that was what because they were having a fit. This is before social media. Before social media. And they were like, people are, giving us a stink eye at the grocery store. We can't even go to church, all of this stuff. And they were like, if we come out and say that you are cleared, 100% cleared, done, forget it. Don't even look at these people. That gives the abductor even more confidence.
Yeah.
And completes his fantasy of, I've got a family.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense, really. I didn't really think about it like that before, but it does.
I didn't think about it either. It kind of screwed with my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Because usually it is the parents they want to clear early on in the case.
Well, they can be cleared, but I mean, they don't want they don't want to give the information of what they're doing to the criminal.
The criminal, exactly.
The perpetrator, the abductor. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. It's interesting that they said in that case that they believed it was an abduction and didn't clear the parents, because that's fairly similar to this. Is seemingly similar, isn't it? This case.
Yeah.
Another case where they say that there's no evidence of an abduction and they haven't cleared the parents is more telling, in my opinion.
S said, bye. I'm not being disrespectful. I didn't see S being disrespectful. What did I miss? I'm clarifying there is no actual footage of Michael, which there isn't, or we all would have seen it. I don't know if there is or isn't. They don't always show the public. I don't know that there is or isn't.
Why would we have seen it? Because they don't give us every bit of information. That's the whole point of what we're just saying. They're not going to give us every bit of information because they don't want to tip off people that might be responsible, We
obviously have something because we have a picture of this man. They're saying we want to talk to this person.
Right. And also they just said that they're still reviewing the footage that they've got out, thousands of hours of security footage that they're still reviewing. You know, we don't know whether Michael's on those or not. You know, it might not show Michael being taken by someone, but it may show Michael knocking on a neighbour's door or losing his flip-flop or whatever. We don't know, because they're not necessarily going to put that out in the public domain at this point.
No, and I've never heard law enforcement say we have absolutely no footage. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on. Can someone fill me in? I don't know what's going on.
No, I don't either. I just think maybe some people think that we should know everything they know, where in reality, that's not ever going to be the case in any missing person's case, in any missing child's case, or in any criminal case. We're not going to see all of the CCTV footage and everything else that they've got ahead of a possible trial or that child being found, or it's just that's information that they'd only use strategically if they felt it would help the case.
Exactly. If they think it'll help the case, because they released, hang on one second. Because they released the picture of this man saying they want to talk to him. We've never seen him before. So there's got to be footage of something somewhere.
Right.
So no, I don't think anyone's being disrespectful. We just have to get through all this together. It's kind of like the Delphi case. They didn't release the audio for a very, very, very long time.
Exactly.
Years into it.
They release it when it's helpful and when it's strategic to release it. I mean, my gut reaction was, why the hell haven't they released this picture of this man up to this point?
That's what I want to talk about too.
Okay, we'll get there.
Although unsuccessful with these searches, we can't stop, and we appreciate the continued support from all of our members. And I would tell you that the number of acres searched will continue to grow. So in our efforts to develop a detailed timeline of events leading up to Michael's appearance.
Okay, he just said that the number of acres searched will continue to grow.
Yep. Well, given that they've got new acreage to search, it seems, you know, that's understandable, I think. And even if they don't mean ground searches. Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I was just thinking out loud, really. I was just thinking, even if they don't mean ground searches, they could mean physical house searches, but they're not going to tip off again. They're not going to say, we've got several more houses to search or several more residences, barns or property. You know, they don't want to tip anyone off. So they're keeping it kind of general, but giving quite a lot of information between the lines, I think.
Yeah, it's very informative, very detailed. And for people that are like, oh, law enforcement isn't doing anything because they know the family. Hell, they're not. They're sitting here telling you everything that they're doing. They don't have to tell you shit.
Exactly. I think people forget that sometimes.
All they have to do is let the public know. We are missing a child in this community. If you see them, let us know. We need your help with that part. What we're doing, we don't need your help with.
Right, exactly.
Oh, Brandy's in here. I wonder why somebody was going, Brandy.
Hi, Brandy.
Good afternoon, Brandy.
Processed over 1,000 leads. So we've cleared many of these leads, but not all have been cleared because some require assistance from out of state, more investigators, and probably more importantly, just time to work these things through to make sure we can bring each lead to a conclusion. This process is exhaustive and it takes a lot of time, and we believe someone out there will ultimately provide us with some information that'll help us solve this case. It's important to note that as we continue to refine our timeline, we now believe that Michael disappeared in a smaller window of time, and that's probably between the time of 6:40 p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. on the 27th. Earlier in the investigation.
That is a small timeline. That is a small timeline. So when Lisa was saying, I believe a vehicle's involved, gotta be, unless Superman put him on his back.
Yeah, that was my thing.
Grabbed him and they got the hell out of the area.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. There's no way he could have wandered off that far that he wouldn't have been found. There's no way that he could have been left anywhere round there. He had to have been taken away in a vehicle from that location. If you look at it on a map even, or an aerial map or anything, you can see that there's only one road in and one road out of that whole neighbourhood. So he had to have been taken by vehicle.
Had to have been. And when he says that, when now he gives a new timeline and it's even shorter, wow, that just gave me chills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Because it kind of condensed in my mind that there wasn't anything that was done there and then in a home or in a residence in that neighborhood, because there's no way that evidence could have been taken away from there in such a short period of time. The only way to have done it is through a vehicle being involved, at least one, and maybe even more than one person involved as well.
Yeah, we get to that because I about passed out when I heard that part.
Okay.
Whew.
Investigation, we needed assistance in identifying 2 vehicles and 2 pedestrians that were seen in the area around the time of Michael's disappearance. So you guys need to know that we positively identified the blue Dodge Avenger we were looking for, and the man that we saw jogging in that area. Those have both been identified, vetted, and investigated, and to an end. So the white Honda Pilot, 2016 to 18 Honda Pilot that we have leaving the area at approximately that time, again, we believe that it belongs to a resident, but we haven't quite been able to clear that and verify that. So that's kind of still an outstanding for us. The man seen walking through the area.
Sorry, I was just saying it's still really interesting to me, this white Honda Pilot, because
Me too.
There's been so much discussion around this pilot. At first, when they brought the information out, they said it was an unknown vehicle in the area. And now at this point, they're saying they haven't cleared it, but they believe it belongs to a resident, but they haven't been able to clear that up. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me what they're actually saying about that Honda Pilot. I don't understand what they're meaning by what they say about it. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, but it's interesting to see if you go to the beginning, which is what I should have done, and then played this. We will do that. Replay queen, because you see how an investigation unfolds. They go from we think to we know.
Yeah.
We still have questions. They're still investigating. They got to get it totally off the table.
Yeah. So does this mean that they believe it's owned by a resident, but they can't prove that it's owned by a resident, or they can't end it by definitively saying whether the resident that owned the vehicle was involved or not?
That's what I want to know.
Right. Okay.
If it's a resident around the area and they're like, well, yeah, I was over there visiting my Uncle Paul. He loves my no-bake cookies, and I dropped him off. I just forgot to tell you in the last year. Right. Oh, okay, well, let me talk to Paul. That whole thing. But if they're not coming forward at all, that's a different story.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like, why was that? Several people obviously saw that car.
Mm-hmm.
Why was it there? Someone needs to come forward. He's like, they already cleared the Dodge Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
But this one they got questions for. And that seems to have always been the car of question.
Yeah, definitely. There was quite a clear picture of it as well, although they don't have any, they've never said that they have any registration number or license plate or anything like that for it. They've never said if they do, but they have put that white Honda Pilot out many, 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 many times, and it still doesn't seem to be definitively ruled in or out at this point.
Not at all. He's flat out telling us.
Yeah. Okay.
They need to let us work there one day, Kat.
Just me and you. Should we do some work experience, Brooks? We'll just go take over.
No, everybody else does it. Why can't we?
Right.
They'd be like, we can't get our work done. You guys are asking us too many stupid.
Right.
Where'd the rain come from?
That would be me. I'd have so many questions. They wouldn't get anything done that day.
Area of the splash pad of Crestview Park leading up to the time of Michael's disappearance. He's not come forward, and he has not been identified. So the man's described as a white male adult, late 20s, early 30s. He was seen wearing black shorts, a white t-shirt with cut-off sleeves, dark colored shoes, and a hat. So I need to make it perfectly clear that he is not a suspect, but we need to talk to him so we can determine his whereabouts and see if he witnessed anything that would be helpful in this investigation.
Okay, so if he was last seen at home, around his home, Why do we need to talk to anyone at the splash pad?
This man has never been identified, spoken to. He's never come forward. He's never, like, in the last year, they still don't know who he is, this man.
So he was out and about, but he's one person that had anything to say about what he saw that day.
And no one seems to know who he was, which is unusual because that's not a massive neighborhood.
Right.
So this man kind of, nobody recognizes him. Nobody knows who he is. No one, they saw him on, obviously they got a picture of him now on this camera, which they've already must have had the picture and they put it out now, but no one has come forward and said, oh yeah, that's my cousin, or oh no, that was so-and-so who was visiting that day. They haven't been able to identify this man, and I think that to me speaks volumes, that he hasn't come forward to say, oh yeah, I just happened to be going for a really long walk that day and walked through a neighborhood where no one really goes because it's out in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't seem like a very usual thing to happen, a strange person walking around a really tight neighborhood.
And also, obviously, someone that no one around there recognizes.
Exactly.
Or they'd be like, oh, I know that dude.
Exactly. You would have thought that if he was not doing anything nefarious or wasn't there for any nefarious reason, someone would have just said, oh, no, that's my cousin. He just went out for a walk to pick our kids up from the splash pad or something, you know? No one knows who he is and he hasn't identified himself. I know they're saying he's not a suspect, so I kind of have to stick with that line. Obviously, he's not a suspect, but it is, to me, suspicious that he hasn't come forward to say who he is, why he was there, what he was doing, and just to rule himself out in that respect, you know?
And that nobody can identify him and say, that looks like
exactly.
Joe that I used to work with.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, if someone was walking around out, because I live in an apartment block, if someone was walking around my garden who I didn't know, I know most of the people that live here, if I didn't recognize them, I'd be suspicious, especially if it turned out that a child had gone missing and there'd been this person walking around that I didn't know, you know?
I would be suspicious of a man walking around by himself.
Exactly.
I know it was a hot day, but you're at the splash pad. You don't have a child in tow with you, and you're not splashing yourself.
Right.
I know they say he's not a suspect. Good call. I wouldn't say you're a suspect either, because then you can make damn sure they're not going to come forward.
Exactly.
It's a small community, and no one recognizes this guy. Yeah. And so they'll show it in a second, and then I'll put the picture up. People are like, oh, it looks like Tyler. It looks like Tyler. They know what Tyler looks like. Exactly. They know where Tyler was at that time.
They know, and they know it's not Tyler, obviously, because
Tyler's standing right behind it.
Right. And they would know by now. It's been a year. I think that they're not stupid to think that a picture, if it was of Tyler, they wouldn't be able to figure that out within a year, that was actually Tyler. It's not. Sorry, I don't mean to be patronizing, but some people have said this to me in my comments, and I'm like, do you not think the police would have worked that one out by now? They've had this photo for a year. If it was Tyler, why would they be putting it out there now, saying, who is this person? Make it make sense, please.
I'm going to go ahead and solve this part of the puzzle, okay? I'm going to take the daily double for 1,000. It's not Tyler.
It's not Tyler. I'm going to agree with you 100% on that one.
Okay. Solved. Thank you.
Yeah.
But it's somebody that nobody in a small community recognizes or seems to know. Exactly. Red flag.
So I plan on releasing a photograph of that individual in my Facebook official posting later today. So you'll all have that. You need to understand that this is a multifaceted investigation. So many leads are working. We're working many leads at the same time. So some leads are temporarily abandoned as priority leads come in, and that's happened to us on multiple occasions. Once abandoned and we clear the priority leads, then we pick those things right back up and we're working on them again until we can work them to conclusion, right? It takes an intense effort and a lot of work to document all of the leads as they're coming in. And at the conclusion of this investigation, I'm hopeful we'll find the answers. It's important that our case is organized and very strong.
Live streaming can be tricky, and sometimes trying to find the right song.
So I will tell you that this is a criminal investigation. So with that, you need to know that the majority of our investigative efforts just cannot be made public at this time.
Okay, I am so glad he said that.
Yeah.
It is said in every case when you listen to the law enforcement press conferences. I think they teach it in police school. Hey, when you talk to the press, yell it for the ones in the back. This is a criminal investigation, so we can't tell you what we know.
Right.
Now, for some of us that enjoy watching Law and Order, but understand it's not real life, we put it together in our brain that this is a process that we are not, we're not a part of. We're not on a need to know basis.
Well, that's the point that gets me, is that people think that they owe us all this information. They owe us everything. They don't owe us anything. Like you said earlier, they could just come out and say, we've got a missing child out of Idaho and we're trying to find him. That's it. End of story. They don't have to say anything else to us unless an arrest is made or the person ends up getting charged or whatever. It's not their obligation to tell us anything. This is actually really more than we could have hoped for at this point, I believe,
this is a plethora of information. Right. I said I've had to listen to it a million times, and you guys know we're going to listen to it a lot.
Yep.
But I'm just really glad he said that, because you have to stop the questions before they're even asked. Question number one in every one of these cases, besides some of the stupid ones that always get brought up, well, why don't they tell us this? Why don't they show us the CCTV?
Right.
If we see the CCTV, we could help. How the fuck you gonna help? You live in Kennebunkport, Maine. This happened. How the hell you gonna help?
Right.
Yeah, couch potato.
As members of the community, we agonize with the family, and we've dedicated our resources to bringing Michael home. So we believe the continued distribution of this story will generate more attention and tips that can be investigated by our department and our partners. So anyone having information regarding Michael's disappearance, I would ask you, please reach out to us. No tidbit of information is too benign or too obscure. It just helps us process the overall picture. We appreciate the efforts of the community, members of the media partners who keep this case at the forefront by promoting and sharing the story. And we encourage all of you to continue sharing the official poster from the Idaho Missing Persons Clearinghouse. I would like to introduce a new partnership today. It's called the Homeward Bound program. The program was first started by Trooper Renee Paget with the Washington State Patrol in 2005. She was working with the WSP Commercial Vehicle Division. Trooper Paget worked with then the Gordon Trucking with a vision that posters of missing children being displayed on sides of semi-trailers traveling around the country could bring much needed awareness and possibly recovery.
I hate to even bring this up. I know Brandy's in chat. Brandy, she's got real thick skin. She has to. When I heard this, I had to pause it. I had to cry. I had to collect myself. This is very good news. First of all, this program is extremely expensive. I know people hate when I bring up money in these cases, but we all know that everyone has a budget, okay? And when they're spending this type of money to put Michael Vaughan down the side of semi-trailers going down the highway, so people who don't follow Crime Lines and Lies, shame on you, who don't News Nation, who aren't local to Idaho, or don't pay attention to social media at all, because they would never know that this little boy is missing. Right. Then they will see it. It is a moving billboard. There's a lot of hope for this case just with that advocacy alone.
I mean, that to me was amazing when I heard it. I was just like blown away by that. And I wondered, because obviously I don't know the organization, are they fairly successful with their efforts? Right. Okay. Well, that's really good.
There's also a group called Truckers Against Trafficking, and you actually have to be trained to do this. If not, you would wind up being like me going, now I just saw this little boy ask for a sucker, and his dad was like, no, because you didn't eat your dinner last night. So I think there's a problem here. And they're like, no, bitch, that's called parenting. But no, they look for certain signs.
Okay.
There was actually a group of children that were at a rest stop in Oklahoma, and a trucker called the local authorities. They did not get there in time, but the OSBI found them later on. And yes, these children were part of a trafficking ring.
Wow. I mean, it's kind of great news, but then when you bring it down to that, it kind of really hits home why they need to do that, and that's terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
A great thing to do, to put a child up and down the country on the side of trailers and everything else, but then when you think it's because they're trying to find trafficked children, that really hits home, I think, hard.
Oh, it hit me hard when I heard it, because for one, there's I've always had hope. The family has hope. You hear Brandy, he's coming home. He's coming home. Corrected people even in my Facebook group. She's like, nope, he's coming home.
He's coming home, yeah. 100%.
Preschool Granny just said they did that in the Jamie Kloss case also. That's how a lot of people knew her when she escaped. That is so true, because there's so many cases that we talk about. I'm going to bring up Summer Wells again. I'm not crossing cases where people come in and they're like, she's known around the world. And I'm like, no, she's not. She's known in the true crime community on YouTube and Facebook. Right. If I go down to my local convenience store right now and I'm like, hey guys, any update on Summer Wells? They're going to be like, who? I go to high school with her. They don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they don't. So this program is so extremely important. The next question is going to be, in other cases, well, why don't they use it for everyone?
Right.
There is an answer to every question. Here's the problem. They don't always answer our questions.
Mm-hmm. But and also, if you think about Monkey didn't ever get an Amber Alert, there wasn't ever that kind of like, statewide kind of attention on Monkey that there would have been in another state, possibly, if a child had gone missing and there was an Amber Alert. So this is kind of a way to progress what could have been an Amber Alert into something more practical, maybe, and more actual proactive.
Well, he wouldn't have gotten an Amber Alert in my state either. Mm-hmm. Abducted or not.
Right.
Even when they determined abduction without a license plate number and last seen with. It's different criteria in every state.
Different states, yeah. But this is a way of getting him across the states, if you like.
Hang on. Lisa said, if no one knows him in Fruitland, then where is he from? He is from Fruitland. Did I say something confusing?
That might have been me. I'm sorry if I confuse things. I ask English questions sometimes. I don't necessarily know everything about America.
Confusing everybody using the damn Queen's English.
Mm-hmm. How rude of me.
With the help of Tanea Parmenter with the Idaho State Police.
Hang on, I want to hear this real quick.
No tidbit of information is too benign or too obscure. It just helps us process the overall picture.
Now, I like how he phrased this. It's different than other cases that we've heard.
Yeah.
He's not sitting there going, no, we need credible tips only.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying any tidbit. He's going to use a very important word here in a second, and I'm sure you guys will pick it out.
We appreciate the efforts of the community, members of the media partners, to keep this case at the forefront by promoting and sharing the story. And we encourage all of you to continue sharing the official poster from the Idaho Missing Persons Clearinghouse. I would like to introduce a new partnership today. It's called the Homeward Bound program. The program was first started by Trooper Renee Padgett with the Washington State Patrol in 2005. She was working with the WSP Commercial Vehicle Division. Trooper Padgett worked with then the Gordon Trucking with a vision that posters of missing children being displayed on sides of semi-trailers traveling around the country could bring much needed awareness and possibly recovery. With the help of Tanea Parmenter with the Idaho State Police, we've been able to partner with the Homeward Bound program, which will carry Michael's information across the country on semi-trailers. As designed by Trooper Padgett, this will expand the exposure of Michael's case on the interstates, highways, and roads of our country, which will bring new leads and potentially help us bring Michael home. We're hoping to have semi-trailers outfitted with Michael's information near the end of August and get those on.
The word is home.
Mm-hmm.
To bring Michael home.
Yep, to his home.
To his home. We're not hearing the verbiage we're hearing in other cases, which is extremely, extremely sad and heartbreaking for those cases. We can lead to bringing him home. There's no reason to have his picture traveling down America's interstates to look for a T-shirt out in the woods.
Right.
I'm not trying to be gruesome. I know Brandy's going to hear this. She already knows she's tough as nails. Okay, guys? They believe he's alive.
Yeah.
On the road. I would ask anyone with any information to continue to send tips to findmichael.org. If you are out of state and you have information that you think would help us bring Michael home, I'm encouraging you to contact your local law enforcement team. They will then get in touch with us and we can start working those leads as they come in. Please share what you have. You can also contact Crime Stoppers at 343-COPS. You can remain anonymous. The reward for the information leading to Michael's safe return has grown to $52,992. This fund has been maintained by the city of Fruitland. It's secure. This will remain in place until Michael comes home.
There it is again, until Michael comes home. He's not in the business of giving false hope, okay? So anyone who comes at me in the comments, they will, as soon as this show's over, and says, oh, it's because Brandy's friends with him. Oh, because him and Tyler went to high school together. They'll come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in the business of pumping up your letdown.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not going to do it. They're not. Look at other cases. I don't want to compare them right now. Look at other cases.
Yeah.
We cover them all on this show. You don't hear these words.
No.
I just ask that you continue to pray for Michael, for strength for his family, and the steadfast resolve for those who are working to bring him home. Thank you for standing firm with Michael's family and our continued law enforcement efforts. So with that, we'll stand for a few questions. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going back to the comment that I had from, a few days ago. Both sides of the coin. I'm listening to the coin. The coin is law enforcement because they have not all the information, but they're close to getting it, it sounds like. So when he says thank you, he's thanking everyone listening for standing with his family.
Yeah.
Do you hear that in any other case? Do you hear the chief in New Hampshire say, hey, thanks for sticking by Adam and Kayla?
Right.
Do you hear it in Oakley Carlson? Do you hear it in Summer Wells? Do you hear it in Cody Bixby? No.
Nope.
But in this case, thank you. Thank you for sticking by the family.
Exactly.
I would tell you that people like to deal in absolutes, and there's nothing about this case that is an absolute. So we will continue to investigate all aspects and all avenues in this case. And, as I've said before, the family continues to be extremely cooperative and working with our investigation. And so, that's just kind of where we're at.
Extremely cooperative and working with the investigation.
Cooperative, active, working with anything that they need. They want their son home.
Exactly.
So basically what her question was, or I'm going to just rewind it. Maybe we can hear her better. I got it on the screen.
Okay.
Just ask that you continue to pray for Michael, for strength for his family, and the steadfast resolve for those who are working to bring him home. Thank you for standing firm with Michael's family and our continued law enforcement efforts. So with that, we'll stand for a few questions. Go ahead. I would tell you that people like to deal in absolutes, and there's nothing about this case that is an absolute. So we will continue to investigate all aspects and all avenues in this case. And, as I've said before, the family continues to be extremely cooperative and working with our investigation. And so, that's just kind of where we're at.
You previously said back in November that there was strong likelihood that he was abducted. Is there anything you can say that would share with us that?
I can hear this guy better. He goes, you said that he was abducted in November, that was the focus of the investigation.
Yeah.
The lady before was basically asking, is the family cooperating? We heard his answer. He said, yes, they are.
Yeah. Okay.
Tristan, due to the number of searches with trained teams and the acreages searched. That is the reason why, and without success, that is the reason why we, there's a possibility or a higher probability of abduction. That's what led us to that. Again, as we continue to work through this thing, there are still no absolutes. So when I say everything's on the table, it's still on the table. Okay.
Have you been looking into people that you may have been close with or known, or do you consider this a possible?
Hi, I'm Kennerix. I am an EMT of 14 years. I would recommend Bell Medical to anybody that has ever.
They've got more advertisements and commercials than the rest of America.
Right. I agree.
We're looking into that. But I think, like I said, these leads and what we're doing, it's happening at the same time. So, yes, we're looking into friends and family close to the Vaughans, and we're looking outside as well.
Friends and family close to the Vaughans. He's not saying, and outside as well. So when he says everything's on the table, it could have been someone that they know that grabbed Monkey.
Yep. Yep, it could be someone.
I imagine what went through their minds when they heard that.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's, to me, that's always been a sort of like, possibility anyway. They may not know. It may be someone they know, but they don't know that they know.
Right. And remember, we run across people all the time at work, at,
Grocery stores.
Yeah. And so it could be an acquaintance, but not someone that is readily available in your mind. I'm sure they're going through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it has. So, there's a number of theories. And as a matter of fact, we develop many theories throughout the week as well. And so once we develop those theories, plausible situations, then we vigorously get after that. And so I certainly don't want to discourage any information that's coming into the Fruitland Police Department, because the leads have been, we're over 1,000 leads now, and we have to have that. I believe that, in the midst of that, there's going to be that tidbit of information that breaks this case and helps us bring him home.
That being said, do you think that the last press conference we had with members, do you think that not being able to release as much information as the public would like, or as much information as the case warrants, that's led to people coming up with these theories?
Yeah, I think it could be. But you also need to understand that we have an obligation, and in order to keep our case organized and strong when this thing is concluded, it's important that we hold that information close, at least at this point, right? There'll be a time for that, for public disclosure, and right now it just isn't. So that's the reason for my hesitancy to put out updates, because we are in the daily work of this investigation, and it's daily. So while it's certainly not a distraction, if I have significant information that needs to be passed, then I'll get it out there to you. But I just, we're just working this thing on a daily basis. So.
Is there anything you can say about persons of interest in this case? How many persons of interest?
I'm not going to really get into too deep on the persons of interest, but I will tell you there are multiple. Okay?
Multiple.
This about blew my mind. All right.
Yeah.
He said they do have persons of interest. They do. He didn't say we don't know. We don't have anybody.
Right.
There's multiple. There's multiple. There's multiple.
It kind of made sense to me, because the way that, I kind of believe or imagine that this whole thing went down, there had to be more than one person involved to pull it off.
Multiple.
Are there any people that you interviewed or searched that have been non-cooperative?
Yeah, there have been.
What was that question?
I was was getting ready to say, what the hell did she ask?
Right.
They need to have the reporters. They need to have a. They need to have a better mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there have been.
I still didn't hear what she said.
I don't even. Can anyone hear what she said? Because he took a pause. He scratched his face. He said, "Yeah, there have been."
That have been non-cooperative.
Yeah,
It's like
there have been.
Providence or something.
I don't know.
Providence.
I don't know. I can't fill it in.
She got tricks in the stash, stacking up the cash fast when it comes to the gas.
All right, hang on. Jakey said she asked, "Is there any people that have not been cooperative?" He paused. He shook his head and he goes, "Yeah, there have been."
Okay.
That you might, if you aren't answering their questions and you're not being forthcoming and you're not being cooperative,
Mm-hmm.
you might fall in the realm of being a person of interest.
Right. That's true. That's completely understandable, isn't it? That would be the logical conclusion.
I would love to know who isn't cooperating.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's made it clear he's not going to tell me.
Right. He's not going to tell us, is he? But yeah, just makes you wonder again about the RSOs in the area.
And who
How
they know.
cooperative.
And who they know.
Yeah, exactly.
Without getting into too much detail, I would tell you properties, vehicles, electronic devices, everything you think we would be serving search warrants on, more than likely we've served search warrants on. So.
And then you mentioned there were multiple persons of interest on there.
No.
Can you tell us a little bit about your daily efforts on this case? What is the day-to-day look like in your investigation?
So our day-to-day efforts start with an intelligence briefing first thing in the morning. We go over aspects of the case and current leads that we're working to try to develop new strategies. We pull in our partners from the FBI and the Idaho State Police, and we start with a direction for that day, and every day starts the same. But I will tell you, it has been this way since the day Michael went missing, right? We do the same thing every day, and it's intense. And so we're able to clear a lot of leads that way. We're making a lot of progress, working through the data, and like we have been from the beginning, that's kind of where I'll leave that.
In your investigation, have you been able to tie this possibly to other missing children or abductions that are similar?
We haven't, although I know there are some similarities, such as the Summer Wells case.
Weird.
They did mention. Hang on, Robin. Robin said Brooks. She asked if there were people not being cooperative. Yeah, Jakey cleared that up for me. So yeah, there's people not being cooperative. I would love to know who. He also said multiple persons of interest. All right, so this is where he said we know about the Summer Wells case. I have a feeling, just knowing what we know about the Summer Wells case, that with the same age, blonde hair, blue eyes, that they have had multiple calls saying that they're connected and that they have had to look into it. The difference is the FBI card unit in Tennessee. Kat brought this up earlier, and I'm going to steal it. The FBI card unit said there is no abduction in Summer's case. Yeah. Everyone's a suspect, but they haven't left that hill. Obviously, Chris McDonough has said, "I'm not leaving that house yet." Not that he's part of the investigation. In this case, they say high probability of abduction, and they have an FBI agent assigned to the case.
Right. Chalk and cheese in terms of that, because the case is just by virtue of that one thing alone are really unlikely to be connected. When one FBI team is saying no evidence of abduction and the other one's saying high probability of abduction, there's no connection. The only connection possible is that they both blonde hair, blue-eyed children at the same age. That's literally as far as I can see. Everything else is fairly tenuous, I think. I don't know why he brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether that was
the reporter asked if there's any connection to any other cases.
Yeah.
And he said no. He flat out said no.
Yeah.
But of course, people ran with it and they're like, is there a connection? He just said no.
Exactly.
He just said no.
Because he said Summer Wells, that was what triggered it off. And I wonder if any of that was strategic.
Probably to make those phone calls stop.
Mm-hmm.
People calling going, have you heard about the Summer Wells case? Because
Right.
I believe that she's at the Seventh-day Adventist church with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Underneath in the basement, right?
Mm-hmm. I think David Dodson has them both. Yeah, that's what they're trying to stop. He already said no.
Yeah.
No.
But we just haven't been able to tie that to that case. So. All right. Well, if I don't have any more questions, I really, again, you guys, I appreciate you. You guys have been phenomenal. My local media outlets, I can't thank you enough. Les, you're awesome. So I appreciate you. And, we'll keep after it. My intent, just so you guys know, is once we get the word on our Homeward Bound program and when those trucks are going to be outfitted, that we'll set up another time that we can do an unveiling on our truck with Michael's information. Maybe bring you guys out at that point again, just to, view the truck and, we'll get something out to the public when it comes to that as well. So, but again, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you. So.
Okay. Like we were saying, that is a lot of information. All right.
Yeah.
So let's put the guy at the park up again. Like I said, it's a small area. It's a small community. Other people were out. It was a hot day. Somebody's got to know who this guy is.
Yeah. Or if they don't know who it is, it's an even bigger red flag, right? Because that's a random stranger in a neighborhood full of children where one of them's missing.
And this guy knows that about a year ago today, he was at the splash pad.
Mm-hmm.
He was there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So if he wasn't, like I said, splashing around getting cool or taking his niece and nephew or his own children,
right?
It's out now.
Yeah.
So I think somebody needs to make a phone call saying, I know that guy, or, hey, that's me.
Yeah.
I work on the maintenance crew. I was trimming shrubs over here.
Exactly. Just clear yourself. Like, even if you was there for an innocent reason, then go and tell them why you were there.
Yep. So this is Homeward Bound. This is what they do.
Okay.
They will put up a phone number to call. It's not always 800 the lost. Sometimes it'll be Crime Stoppers. Sometimes you'll see that it's the local PD. Sometimes they'll have multiple children down the side. Sometimes just one.
Okay. That's quite impressive, considering that they're going all around the country every day.
Every day, all day.
Yeah. That's far and wide coverage.
And Robin Smith read my mind. She goes, it's probably because of Tim trying to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tim needs to stay out of it. Tim needs to be out of it. So I'm going to show just a clip. It's about 3 minutes of the Homeward Bound. Hang on.
Okay.
All right. So here they just have one child on the side. It looked like the back of a trailer for a second. And I'm like, okay, never mind.
State Patrol, and at the time, Gordon Trucking and Trooper Renee Paget had the vision of putting posters of missing children on the side of semi-trailers. At one point in time, there were 26 kids in the program with Gordon Trucking, and now with Camway, we're really excited to start the program back up again, and especially honor Renee's vision and keep these children out there in the public's eye. And so we're grateful for Camway for starting the program back up again.
It really aligns with what we want to do, and I think if we can help finding these children, it's too good of a cause not to be involved in. I don't know, it's just a really interesting way that this whole program has come back to fruition, where it was spearheaded by Renee Paget, and she led this all the way through to be able to represent Officer Paget and Tika, and all of that is just really, I mean, I don't know, that's really what you work for.
it's like a vision coming together, you know, and when we saw them pull in, it was like, wow, oh my gosh, this is reality. It's actually happening. And look how amazing that trailer looks. And look how amazing Renee's picture looks. And we're getting this out there and it's actually happening. But when I saw Tika's mom come in and her reaction to seeing her daughter's face up there was just,
You know, for State Patrol to do something like this in Camway and to have my daughter's picture out there on the road, hopefully this will bring her home. That's all I want is my baby home. It's been 20 years. She's 22. She has a little sister she's never met. She has 4 nephews and 2 nieces and a nephew that looks exactly like her. I look into his eyes and I see her.
We're really, really excited. We can't say how humbled we are to be part of the program and just to be able to have this opportunity. And if we can find Tika or any other missing children, it's going to be that much more of a bonus.
It all kind of fell together and was like all the stars aligned, and it was the right time. And we can feel that Renee's here with us. She's here with us, and her memory is why we're keeping this going. We don't want to let this idea go by the wayside. It was an important idea, and her vision is going to keep this moving forward.
Okay, great program. I'm so happy that they're going to be having, hopefully soon, Michael in the program. I agree with Butterfly. Dana, she said, that's a terrible picture they released. It is a terrible picture. It's going to trigger somebody's memory who I would think is on high alert now, that lives in that community, that was out and about.
Yeah.
That they're going to remember seeing that man. They're either going to recognize him and know him. Maybe they spoke to him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was acting odd.
Mm-hmm.
Or he himself comes forward.
Yeah.
Because they gave a very, very, very detailed description of what he was wearing that day.
Yeah, I'm actually quite glad they put that picture out eventually, because it was hard to kind of get from the original description just what he was wearing. Well, it could have been really anybody in the United States wearing a cap and a white shirt and a pair of shorts, you know, but actually putting the picture out makes it a lot more clear, the stature of the guy, his physicality, that kind of thing. More likely to trigger someone's memory, I think.
I think it's genius. And of course, it gets everyone hopping because they release what is potentially very, very pertinent information this late in the game. And also, I hope that the press conference has put a few people at bay, that they understand that they are working on this. I know there's been a lot of, why don't they get a private investigator? He said, we do a daily briefing every morning where we're at.
Exactly.
We have the state troopers involved. We have an FBI agent assigned. So, I mean, you know, he's saying any little tidbit can help. Now they're working with Homeward Bound. It just, they're not going to give up.
Yeah, I agree. And to be honest, I don't really see what a PI could bring to the table anyway. What could they do that all of those people that work in this case day in, day out can't do? They don't have any more powers than any of those people. PIs have virtually zero powers compared to these people. The FBI team and the law enforcement, everyone else that's working on it. I don't see what a PI would bring to the table. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, they can't get warrants. They can't go to court. They can't arrest anybody. The only thing I can think of where a PI is good, besides cheating spouses and is your employee stealing from you, would be that people that have done something bad, they don't want to talk to anybody of authority, but they might open up a little bit more to a PI. I don't see that this law enforcement organization, especially in conjunction with the troopers and the FBI, really needs that help.
No, I agree. I don't think it serves a purpose, really. No. And
I agree with Emily. The trucks are an excellent idea. And when he kept saying, home, 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 bring him home.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the most positive ways. Well, it was one of the most positive press conferences I've seen about a missing child ever, I think.
I've never seen one this positive. Ever. It's usually a bunch of shaking heads. No.
Right. We don't know anything.
We'll let you know as we know.
Yeah.
And especially at this stage in the game to say, we need more exposure.
Yeah. Exactly.
We need more exposure. You don't hear that in any other case.
No.
I'm sorry you don't. And it's rude. It's rude to compare cases. I get it. Sometimes it's got to be done. You don't hear that in any other case.
No.
Not only are they saying, keep sharing the poster, and he's specific about which one.
Yeah.
Specific about which one. That's important. He mentioned that one for a reason. Keep sharing that. And then he said, now we're partnering with Homeward Bound.
Yeah. Yeah, renewed hope, I guess. I've tried to keep hope all the way through this case because, it's the hardest thing to do is hold on to hope. But that just reinforced it again for me. And I hope that it, reinforced it for Brandy and Tyler as well. That, I know they keep hope, but sometimes it's hard. We're all hoping, and we all know that Monkey's coming home.
Monkey's coming home. Monkey's coming home. Guys, we had a lot of new people in here today. Hit the sub button. Take a second to like the video. Share it. Share the poster. Be specific about which one.
The Idaho Missing Persons Clearinghouse poster.
Jimmy Hoffa, where have you been?
Hello.
Jimmy Hoffa. Hi, Brooks. Been forever. Been so busy this summer. Great to see you're still doing your channel. Yeah, we have a lot of catching up to do. Shoot me an email. We had a lot of people I haven't seen in a while that are back. That's awesome.
Great to see you.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about Monkey again on Thursday because Brandy and Tyler both are going to be on News Nation tomorrow night. Going to be back tomorrow morning. We have another show about Summer Wells. We're also going to be talking about Dylan Rounds. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow afternoon or Thursday afternoon. I'll just have to let you know. Keep checking the community tab in the channel and you'll see the upcoming shows. And I appreciate everybody being here. And always, my friend Kat always has the words of wisdom and knows how to steer me back on track.
I try. Thanks, Brooks.
Everywhere there for a second. I was telling people good morning. It's a wonder you didn't just close it down. We'll do this.
Oh, I love you, Brooks. All right. Thanks, everyone. I'll catch you in Discord.
I'll catch you in Discord.
Bye.
Butterfly said, Homeward Bound trucking with the pictures, such a blessing to those missing. Absolutely. I got a lot of positivity out of this press conference. And he did confirm there's people that are not cooperating and multiple persons of interest. I think this is going to really start unfolding over the next few months. And as he said over and over in the conference, to bring Monkey home. That's the hashtag, bring Monkey home. All right, guys, I'll see you back here tomorrow morning. And like I said, keep sharing the poster. I mean, you guys are all in different crime groups and stuff like that. And then we'll be back. We're going to talk about the News Nation interview on Thursday. So I'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning. You're the best chat and the best community on YouTube. See you over in Discord in a little bit. Bye-bye.